Well, guys, for both of you, how exciting is it to be pitching in a winner-take-all game?
I mean, I think it's a great time. I think it's just a time to go out there, be ready when your name's called, and just lay it all out on the line.
Absolutely. I mean, great environments everywhere we've been. Looking forward to another good one tomorrow.
You guys will play when they tell you to, but they move the starting time up 7 hours. Does that have any effect at all?
No, I don't think so. We've had plenty of day games this year.
Yeah, plenty of them.
Questions? Are either of you two starting tomorrow?
I haven't heard anything.
Same.
Yeah, no telling.
Questions?
Is it almost fitting that, I mean, you guys went back and forth with the Tigers all year. This series has had big swings back and forth. Is it almost fitting that this Game 5 comes down to a winner-take-all with them?
So we've always had close games with them. They've always been good games. I think it just comes down to who gets the hit, who gets the shutdown inning. And, I mean, it's shown in these 4 games. It's kind of been flip-flop, just like you said.
Until now, for both of you, what is the biggest game that you've pitched in?
I think it's going to be tomorrow. Yeah.
I mean, prior to tomorrow.
I guess last night or the ones before. I mean, these are the most significant games, I think, of either of our careers, for sure mine. So, yeah.
I mean, I'd say all of them. I mean, this whole season's feels like every game's been really important, obviously. So I think it's just continuing on.
Over here on the right side.
Should either of you be asked to start tomorrow, how might that change the way you prepare for the game? I mean, Hunter, obviously you have a background even in the organization as a starter. Do you try to lengthen your prep time? Do you just say, hey, 20 minutes beforehand, I'm going to start to get hot? How does that work for you?
I think I just get ready before the game instead of during the game. I think that would be the only difference.
Yeah, I would do whatever I could to keep it as close to what we've been doing this year up to this point.
Hunter, you and Brant Herder, I think, are both from Canton, Georgia. Is that correct?
I'm not sure if he's from Canton. I've seen his name a lot. I'm sure I played against him growing up.
That was what I was going to ask. Have you faced him before? Do you know?
No, I know he was at Georgia Tech when we faced him when I was down at Georgia State during our midweek games. But I can't recall. I mean, there's so many players down in Georgia. It's hard to remember everybody's names. But I definitely know the name, know he's from Georgia, and, seen him around.
How both you guys kind of held up to the workload that you've had this year? What have you learned to, how to get through these so many innings, so many appearances?
I think there's definitely a balance of learning how to, manage the workload, and especially with a different schedule, having less days off, longer stretches like the 10, 15 games in a row. But I think that you learn by just watching the guys who've been here before and take what they do and understand kind of their mentality and how to approach things, and you implement it into your routine however it fits best.
Yeah, I think you just take it day by day. It's the only way you can do it.
I mean, you were a starter. Do you feel like you've completely adjusted to this role now?
I don't think you ever really completely adjust. I think you're always making changes, finding whatever works best for you on a day-to-day basis. It could be you need a lot one day, and then you may need very little.
In the middle.
After a game like last night, when you guys get back to your locker, or if it's on the team bus and you're looking at your phone for the first time, what are the reactions like from family and friends? And is it a lot more than maybe after a game in May?
It's definitely a lot more. It's nice seeing, texts of, encouragement, especially when you see the ones that's like, hey, proud of you and all that stuff. It's really, hits hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my family's definitely pumped. They've been watching every game. They're loving it.
For two guys who have to stay kind of even keel, what's it like hearing from your family, who I'm sure it's much more difficult for them to do that?
I don't know. I think my dad's buddies have asked him, like, are you nervous? Are you nervous? He's always like, no, I'm not nervous. I know deep down he is.
A lot's been made about the fact that Cleveland and Detroit have played so many times, literally 2,000 plus games, but had never played in the postseason until this year. given that the rosters on both teams are so young, do you feel like maybe there's a different part of a rivalry between these two teams kind of starting with, having to play each other with such big stakes?
I mean, that's a hard question. I think it's always been there. I think it just means more, especially at this time.
Yeah, with Class A last night, is that what you expected from him after the game two, what happened in game two?
Yeah. I don't think we even really overthought game two either. Couple singles that found a hole and, one good swing, so it wasn't like the guys were just whacking him around where he's like walking guys or giving up a bunch of slug. Even yesterday I thought Malloy took a really good swing on a good pitch. But then other than that, I thought he got back to doing exactly what he's doing.
He seems so calm out there. Is that how you pick up from him too?
He always is. I mean, he throws close pitches that don't get called strikes. He's always laughing out there. So, I mean, I think the game moves in slow motion for him. It's one of the reasons he's the best in the world.
It seems like it kind of goes without saying, but just what does Quan mean to you guys at the top of the order?
I mean, when he goes, we go, that's for sure. The things that our offense was doing early in the year, specifically when he was hitting like 800, he's the catalyst to get on base for Hosey and Nails. So, what he's doing right now is special. It's, obviously, what he did this year, I think, making more of a name for himself, but you really make a name for yourself in the playoffs, and I'm pumped to see him doing that.
Can you, as much as you are allowed, I guess, can you take us through like the magic touch Carl Willis has during a mound meeting?
He's been there so many times. He comes out with just an attack plan, which is, something I've learned from him. And when I do my mound visits, without him, it's just to have a plan. Usually when you're doing a mound visit, either A, your pitcher's struggling, or B, there's you just need to break up some momentum. And you got to assume that pitcher's out there on a lonely island by himself, overthinking things, trying to figure out what to do, or maybe thinking about the wrong things. And in any situation in the big leagues, you just have to have a plan, an attack plan, whether you're on offense or defense. And what Carl does, he goes out there and says exactly like a little recipe for how to get that hitter out in this moment, or maybe this hitter and the next hitter out in this given moment. And it just takes away a lot of pressure from all the other overthinking. So, every time he comes out there, I feel like the guys get more relaxed and more confident in their attack plan.
Hedges, is it fitting that this is coming down to a Game 5, considering you guys have gone back and forth with the Tigers virtually in every game this season?
Yeah, of course. That's a really good team over there, and my God, these games have been so much fun. We didn't expect anything less. We knew we were going to get their best ball, and I feel like we're doing the same thing. So it's going to be a dogfight tomorrow, that's for sure.
After game three, a lot of the conversation was about aggressive managing and, pinch hitting early and questioning, I think, was a lot of that. What do you say after game four where it seemed like Stephen Vogt pushed all the right buttons and, everything sort of hit and you guys came through in the big at-bats that needed to sort of come through?
I think wins and losses answer all the questions. I think if we lost that game, you're going to say he made terrible decisions. If we won the game, you're going to say he made brilliant decisions. So that's all it seems to come down to. If we win, you're smart. If you lose, you're dumb. That's kind of how sports work.
Austin, the way you're talking right now, the connection you have in the clubhouse and everything, have you thought about managing someday?
I just want to stay in the game as long as I can. I love the game. I love the day-to-day. I love the clubhouse. I love the boys. I'd like to keep playing as long as I can. I'm going to play till someone taps me on the shoulder and says I'm not good enough anymore. And then after that, we'll see what happens.
Would you like to do that, though? Like Stephen Vogt was a catcher 2 years ago, and here he is managing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to have really any role. I haven't really thought too much about it because I know I still got ideally 7-8 years of playing left in me. But when that time comes, I'd love to do that at some point.
It's game 5 of the series. You know this team so well. You've seen them recently so much. How much does your prep for hitters change? Or is it kind of like, no, I'm kind of going over the same notes and the same things that, you know, we've got the same sequences, the same pitches to guys. Is there differentiation from game to game in that for you?
Yeah, there is, but I think one of the things that makes us really good, you know, Bo specifically, is watching the game. We go in with a game plan, but most importantly, we go in knowing our pitchers' strengths and how they, you know, how they attack guys when they're at their best. But then we're letting the hitter tell us what they're looking for. There's so much information you can take from every single pitch, whether it's a swing, a foul ball, a take, you know, a statue take, a flinch take, you know, is he early, is he late? What did we throw him the at-bat before? There's so many things in the game that matter more than, I guess, the game plan. And I think, you know, I try and do a good job of that, but Bo has done such an amazing job at that this year. That I think that's one of the advantages we have in the series is that we don't necessarily like predetermine anything. We let the game tell us exactly what to do, and that's what we're going to go out and do tomorrow.
And then just kind of following up on that, I mean, obviously you have technology available to you in the dugouts. Over the course of the game, how do you keep it all straight? You know, if you have a guy that has a 10-pitch at bat to remember exactly what sequence you threw, what pitches in, how do you process all of that?
I mean, that just you know, it comes with experience, but it just comes with just like that's our position, that's our job. You know, if you're going to be a catcher in the big leagues, in the playoffs, it's a non-negotiable. You have to be able to do that. That's just like one of the things. If you can't do that, you're in trouble. So, you know, it's something that you know, I feel like I've said this a lot. Is just we've practiced it all year. We had 162 games of practicing that formula of breaking down and going back and revisiting at bats to remember, you know, how we attacked guys, and then, you know, having constant dialogue in the dugout so we can, you know, remember what has happened and what we need to do moving forward. But it's just a part of our process of practicing it all year.
You can read pitchers as well as you read hitters. What separates Scoobel from the rest of the pack?
He's just got it all. I mean, he's a unit on the mound. He's got crazy deception. He throws 100. He's got 2 different fastballs. He's got wipeout off speed. He's an ultimate competitor. I mean, he's every team's dream to have as your ace. I mean, that's as good as it gets in our league.
Zach, I know you guys are focused and you're even keel or whatever. Have you heard from whether it's friends or family who are just living and dying with every pitch? And, like,
I mean, we are too. Don't worry. I mean, just even if we don't show it, we're living and dying with every pitch. I mean, yesterday is as stressful as any game could ever be, and I anticipate the same thing tomorrow. But that's also the beauty of the playoffs is we are living and dying with every pitch, whether we show it or not. It is every single pitch is, you know, means the world to us. So, but it's also the greatest thing ever because you know, the risk reward is so powerful. You know, you lose, it's going to be so heartbreaking, but when you win and you do it right, there is no better feeling in the world.
Brainer, or the way, based on the way he pitched, or what were your other options?
We had discussions about everything, right? Best ways to win Game 5, and you know, we talked through a lot of different scenarios, but the one that just continued to come up was, you know, Matthew threw the ball well. He's been great for us, so we feel very, very confident in Matthew taking the ball tomorrow.
Zach, you surely predicted that you give him the ball with the game on the line when you were talking to him in like June, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we knew way back then. No, I mean, you never know how the season's going to play out, right? And, you know, we talked about spring training. It'd be great if we had 26 guys from opening to closing. But, you know, with the additions that Matthew and Alex have given us and the way Matthew's taken the ball every time and competed, you know, we feel really good about him taking the ball in a Game 5 scenario.
Questions? Here in the front. Stephen, Austin Hedges was in here a little bit ago, and he was talking about how you guys use analytics, but then in the dugout, you know, you're making adjustments and like how important the eyes are to watch as bad as hitters go up. So can you take us like in the dugout and talk about those discussions?
You're talking about like for pinch hitting and things like that?
No, how you attack the opposing batters.
Oh, I mean, that's more the catchers and pitching coaches area. But, I mean, we come up with game plans. We know where hitters have, you know, their damage, and we try to avoid it. That's how everybody pitches. So, I mean, analytics, you know, I think gets a bad rap. All that is that's the data. That's the facts about each player. And data doesn't lie. So you use that as a tool, you use that as an information piece, but you also have to go out and play the game. You have to feel what the hitter's doing, what the pitcher's doing, and you're always making adjustments based off of what people are actually doing. And so the numbers and analytics are a tool. They're an educational tool that help us, navigate through games, but you still have to use your eyes.
And your experience as a catcher for all those years, how does that help you in making those in-game adjustments?
I mean, it's the information you have in your mind going into the game, and then you read the hitter, you read what the opposing team's trying to do, and you know that you have to pay attention to what's going on in the game.
Yesterday was the first time you ever had a chance to manage a win or your season's over kind of game. Did you learn anything about yourself?
Yeah, it was fun. I had a blast. I mean, it's what you want to do. You want to be in those games. You're not in an elimination game if you're not having a good year. And I think for our guys, they went out and they earned it. And it felt like any other game. It really did once it started. Leading up to it and the decisions you have to make, yeah, they're a little more crucial, but it felt like just another game for us. And I think that's the way our players have attacked every game, has helped me, stay calm and under control.
We've heard you guys talk so much about how much this group loves each other, and this probably won't surprise you, but just to see Pedro this whole series be the guy who's top railed the entire time. He's the first one out of the dugout when a pitcher's coming out of the game. I guess what more can this say about this group for a guy who didn't even make the roster?
Yeah. Again, it just speaks to how close that group in the clubhouse is, and they put their teammates ahead of themselves. And Pedro is, the number one example of that, as well as Ben and, Tyler and, Nick Sandlin, these guys that we had tough conversations with last week, and here they are cheering their teammates on like nothing changed, like they're active, and it's just they want to win. And if their job is to support their teammates, they're going to do it to their fullest.
Scooble's numbers speak for themselves. What makes him so tough?
Just his stuff, his demeanor, his confidence. He can throw any pitch at any time to any part of the zone, and he can add and subtract. He can shape the ball differently. I mean, he's just a premier pitcher with elite stuff, and we got our work cut out for us.
Is this fitting that you guys have gone back and forth with them all year, never mind past week, that it's coming down to this winner take all, you two?
Yeah, I don't think anybody thought this wasn't going to go 5 games. It's the way our season's been. It's where their season's been. It's been the way our head-to-head matchups have been. It's going to be a fun day tomorrow. I don't know how it's going to shake out. I don't know who's going to win. Somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. But I know it's going to be a really fun day at the ballpark tomorrow, and I'm confident our guys are going to come out ready to go.
Is it a change in start time worry you, or any concern about that?
No, not at all. I'm just glad we're going to get it in before the rain. I mean, no one wants to play through rain stoppages, and then you got to keep a starter going through a rain delay, or you got to, it was the right call to move the game up, and it'll be a beautiful Saturday in Cleveland, hopefully.
After game 3, you said you pushed your chips in situations where you thought you had the right matchups, and you didn't get the result that you were looking for in those situations. Last night it seemed like you pushed your chips in and you held back maybe a little bit until it was the right moment, and then you hit on everything. Do you allow yourself a few minutes to sort of look back at that and self-evaluate and sort of puff your chest out about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's fun when it works out, and I think we've had a very similar cadence to how we use our chips or our pinch hits or our bullpen. We've had a similar cadence all year, and we stuck to it last night. We didn't go all in early. We didn't, when you're not down, you're afforded that chance to hold or to take a shot or to do things like that. And so, we've had times where we've held, we've had times where we go, and it's just that feel of the game and the understanding what the matchups are going to be. And we felt like it was the right time to go, and David Fry is a great baseball player and comes through.
Borrowing lyrics from Kenny Rogers there.
Yes.
How are people in your personal life handling a series like this?
The kids are having fun. All of their voices are gone today. Alyssa's enjoying this. She's having a blast. Just, she's a big support system for me. My dad, Randy's here. My in-laws are here. Everybody's enjoying it. It's just fun. And they view the team as our family.
obviously this is your first year here, so it's not like you have this long history with the Tigers. Is there something, though, about the fact that Cleveland and Detroit are meeting in the playoffs for the first time after, literally thousands of meetings before that? Do you feel like maybe this could be the start with two young rosters of a rivalry that, has a little more weight to it?
I think anytime you play divisional opponents throughout the year, you form little rivalries, and then I think a playoff series can really propel that. But the way, being the first year here, the way our guys view division matchups is they are playoff series. The way we view, they mean more. So I think it was already there, and I think it's just fun to have a team that you are so familiar with that now you're competing in the playoffs. It's been a blast.
Time for two more, if anyone has them.
Along the lines that Joe asked, how big a difference does it do when you make moves, when you have a lead and when you're behind? Because I think Wednesday you were down early, and last night you got up early.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, playing from ahead is much different than playing from behind, and I think for our guys, when we score early, that really gets us going. And so I think it allows you to make more moves when you are ahead, or be able to do more creative things when you are ahead. When you're behind, you got to take your shots to get back into the game. So it's important to get a lead early, and then it's important to hold it.
And we'll get started. First question, right here with Zach.
Does this feel like fate? I mean, against that team, against that pitcher, in a game of this magnitude?
Oh man, yeah. I don't write the script, but the one who does writes it a lot better than me. As I've said probably many times. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Questions? Back to Zach.
Just, I know you have plenty of experience, but a situation like this, how do you balance your nerves or jitters or stress, or try not to succumb to that, I guess? I don't know.
The goal is to get outs, right? That's my job. I know what I'm gonna do out there is, I know what I'm gonna do, right? Whether it's the starting a game or leaving a game, whatever, your job is still the same. So you feed off of those, right? I mean, it's what you want. It means you're alive. It means your heart's beating. So it's all energy. You just use it for good, and yeah.
Here in front. Pitching against the same team just 5 days apart, does that mean anything, an advantage for you or for the hitters, or how's that work out?
I mean, to me, it's pitching is pitching. The hitter's going to tell you what needs to be done, and I mean, at this point in the year, right, it's that they have a good idea what I do. I have a good idea what they do, and it just comes down to execution and whatnot. So. They got a good lineup, so it'll be a fun time.
On the right side?
Two things. One, what was it like when, look, you're a competitor, you want the ball, right? But when you hear, hey, you got the ball tomorrow, what's that moment like?
It's always exciting. It doesn't get old when you hear that. So I was really grateful for Vogt giving me the ball, and I'll just go do my job till he gives it to somebody else. I'm excited about it.
Would you change anything that you did the first time around that you would do substantially differently now?
No, I mean, I gotta say, I've done the same thing for the most part. Going through my rehab starts to today, right? In terms of how you prepare. When it comes down to the game, it's just execution, right? And you have a game plan, you go out there, do your best to execute it, and you just go pitch to pitch after that. So, in terms of that point, no, you don't change anything in the preparation of it. You just, you trust the work you put in, and, you know what you expect of yourself when you go out there on the mound.
Tarek really wears his emotions on his sleeve and really uses kind of that passion to fuel him. Yeah. Have you had conversations with him about that? You said that people have talked to him about kind of either reining it in or just using it in the most productive way possible.
Yeah, I mean, he asked questions about it early on. I think the biggest thing that you can, you don't want to, there's so many ways to look at it, right? Last thing you want to do is try to fake something out there in the wrong, if you got that emotion, you let it out. And
you know, I mean, sort of thing, right? Like I always, being a parent, you get part of you get this a lot, right? You don't want to you want to be able to talk whatever, going down a different rabbit hole with that one. What Tarrant does is awesome. That's perfect for him, right? He's got that emotion, he's got that fire. You know, he feeds off that stuff, and that's him. You wouldn't want him to be somebody else, right? So, and I think that goes for everybody.
Social media to kind of scold him about his language?
No, I did not. I got to say, I'm kind of off of social media from, you know, for here, ebbs and flows for me. So, no, I did not, but that's good. You know, yeah, it's, Tarek's awesome, man.
When did they tell you, Matthew, that you were gonna start?
About what voter, I think came, you know, told me about 5 minutes ago before I talked to you guys. So, and the plan has been to,
Not surprised.
no. I was gonna have the ball. I was gonna be ready to throw the, you know, in some capacity. So, like I said, at this point in the year, it's your job is to get outs. Whatever, like our goal is to get 27 outs, and if you need more than that, then you go get more than that. How it comes about, like the cool thing about our team is that our egos are checked at the door, right? And we have one goal, and that's to get a W. So, I was going to be ready to do whatever I needed to, and if it starts at 108 as compared to later on, so be it. But my job doesn't change.
Does that bother you? Does that change your plans at the early start?
Not at all. Plan is exactly the same. You know, we've been going down that course, you know, normal 5-day routine.
What were your emotions like being back in Detroit the last few days?
Oh man, it's Detroit's always going to be a special place to our family. It was fun. It's always fun to be back there and see people. You know, when you're around an organization and people for 8 years, right? Whether that's walking by the same parking attendants or, you know, clubhouse security or whatnot, you make friendships that last a long time. So fun to be back there and see everybody.
Here in the front, Andy.
I know you can't be two places at once, so you don't know this, but from hearing from your wife, what's it like for your kids to watch you pitch? Do you know? Have you seen videos of what it's like for them in the ballpark?
Well, we got that age gap from 7-5, and you know, and twins that are going to turn 3 this month. So it varies for each one of them. You know, my oldest, my 7-year-old, she's dialed in. You know, she understands it. She wants to learn how to keep score. You know, my 5-year-old loves it, but you know, he's more enamored with you know, everything else going on, like the fireworks and whatnot. And I think the twins like the hot dog race. That's what the big thing is. Every time that they go to the game, they tell me, you know, they told me that there wasn't a hot dog race during my last start, and that was the biggest news for them. So, you know, it varies by age, but it's kind of cool to see them as time has gone on, right? You know, my oldest is, you know, Mira. She didn't really understand it until a few years ago, and then it was, why aren't you playing baseball? It's like, oh, but I'm hurt, honey. Like I got it. She's, you know, that you see that evolve and whatnot, and you know, they get more and more dialed in as the years go on. So it's fun to see it through their eyes.
The project to teach her how to score.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you need a game to. It's a little hard to find a baseball game in the offseason. I gotta probably put Papa on that and you know, sit her down with him and go through it pitch by pitch.
Any more questions?
Did you ever think when you signed here that you'd be pitching 2 games in the ALDS? I mean, was that? I mean, I know that's a silly question, but I mean, does that kind of, how do you take that all in?
I mean, just gratitude. It's what, like, you know, all those days. Man, you're making me cry. I don't know why. This is ridiculous. I mean, you're in the gym, right? And this is what you dream of. This is what you want. And you go do it. And it's like, yeah, right? Gosh, Paul. Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't know where that came from. But you're excited about it. And that's what you want. Like, you don't, like, this is what you dream about. You dream about everything leading up to it. I said when I got back, that was a step. When you get to the point, like 5 days ago, that's just another step. Tomorrow is just another step. You know, the script is still being written, regardless of what the result is. But it's like, that's what you want. And that's the cool part about it.